Today I'm going to teach you the 5 best ways to save money on grocery shopping in 2025. Now, this isn't a meal planning video, and I'm not going to teach you how to go extreme coupon shopping in this video either. These are basic skills that anybody can do with a limited time. If you're just meeting me, my name is 𝐂𝐎𝐋𝐋𝐄𝐓, and this is the 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿𝐒 Legacy, where I have hundreds of videos here on YouTube teaching you how to keep your produce fresh longer so it doesn't go to waste. If you don't know, the average family throws away over 40% of the food that they buy, and I actually had a TED Talk teaching about this. But we're not going to be talking about produce today. So before we get into the tips, let's talk about those 2 things that we're not talking about today. One is meal planning. I honestly can't figure out what I want to wear in 2 days. How am I supposed to know what I want to eat for the next 2 weeks? I just hate meal planning. I'm going to teach you the other skills that I use that I don't have to meal plan. And like 15 years ago, I got really into shopping all the sales and doing couponing. But as I found out that my family had allergies and we had some other health difficulties with me having diabetes, we decided to start eating a lot cleaner, and we eat mostly organic items now. Now, mostly organic items and cleaner items are not often the ones that are on sale and they have coupons for. So I kind of shied away from doing the coupons and focused on buying the healthiest ingredients that I could for my family. My number 1 tip for saving money on groceries is to reduce the amount of times you're going to the grocery store. So whatever your 2024 habit was, let's try to extend it even by a day in 2025. For a long time, my husband Mike used to stop at the grocery store almost every single day and pick up 1 or 2 items that we forgot and 1 or 2 items that he wanted to grab, and we wondered why our grocery budget was so out of control. About 15 years ago, we were going through some major medical bills, and we couldn't figure out how to keep all the bills paid and still buy groceries, and we started tallying up how much we were spending at the grocery store and realized that's what was killing our budget. So now we have a grocery budget of $135 per person per month, and we only go grocery shopping once every 3 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that you have to start out going grocery shopping once every 3 weeks, but if you're going every day, try to spread that out where you're going maybe twice a week, and then spread it out to once a week, and just stay in your budget. And speaking of budgets, we have a whole another entire video talking about how I get that $135 grocery budget and how I spread out those grocery shopping trips. My tip number 2 is to make sure that you're checking your fridge and your freezer and the items that you already have in your house before you go grocery shopping. So it sounds so simple, but those days leading up to grocery shopping, can you eat up some salad toppings or throw something in a soup or be able to pull something out of the freezer that will stretch you a little bit further not going to the grocery store? But if we're using the items that we already have in our house, you're going to end up saving a lot of money. So twice a year, I normally do a full inventory of everything I have in the house. Normally I do that in the fall when the kids are going back to school, and then again in the spring as we're moving into summer. So if there's items in my freezer that I don't want to turn on the oven for, in the summertime, we are using those up. If you want to learn more about taking inventory of the things that you already have in your house, we have a video for that. We will link that in the description. Tip number 3 is shopping for versatile items that you can have in your house. So I kind of joke that I am Gen X, and it used to be white bread when we were growing up. Could be anything from sandwiches to French toast to hot dog buns. It's kind of that same philosophy that I use now. So along those same lines of using bread multiple ways, I buy things like Greek yogurt that is plain, and that way I can use it as sour cream. We can sweeten it with jam and eat it like a flavored yogurt instead of buying flavored yogurt. And then we can add it to our smoothies. I make ranch dressing with it also. I can add it to different recipes to kind of thicken it up also, and you're adding a little bit of protein. That 1 container of Greek yogurt will go quickly instead of a sour cream that might get pushed to the back of my fridge. And speaking about cleaning out the fridge, we have a fridge clean out video where I teach you all kinds of tips to get some of those other items to last longer, like how to store Greek yogurt to make it last about 2 weeks longer than what the store package will get you. My fourth tip is for you to start batch cooking. And I know that might sound a little bit intimidating, but instead of making tacos for one night, if you can make the taco meat for tonight and freeze another portion for another night, you have tacos for the month. So I use that same philosophy of making some for tonight and putting some in the freezer. At least once a week, I try to batch cook a meal that we can pull back out of the freezer at another time. We have a whole playlist of meals on budget that will give you some of those ideas. How I use a roast, we'll have it one night as a roast. I will slice it up and put it in the freezer to have French dips another night, or even make minestrone soup out of it. Things like having pork loin, I will put shredded pork in the freezer that we can pull out later. That meals on budget playlist is a whole playlist that will be linked in the description for you to check out. And batch cooking isn't just for dinners. Make sure when you're making things for breakfast that you're also thinking about planning ahead. My husband used to always make on Saturday or Sunday mornings either pancakes or waffles for our kids, and I would make sure that he would make some extra that would go into the freezer that I could use all week long. We have a breakfast video of freezer ideas also. Tip number 5 is to always keep the same pantry items in the house. So you know that you always have some form of the same item. A good example for that is I know in the summertime I always have fresh tomatoes, but I also always have canned tomatoes on my shelf. So if I have any recipe I'm trying to make with tomatoes, I know I'm covered. I always have these items in my pantry, and I don't have to worry about wanting to make a new recipe and not having the items that I need. So whenever you get low on something that is a staple in your house, make sure that you write it on the list immediately. And I kind of go with the rule of thumb: when I'm buying one for now, I get 2 for later. So I'm looking at those expiration dates and making sure that I can use up whatever the items are, like 3 items within the time. Buy 1 for now and 2 for later, and you will always have a stocked pantry. Okay, before I get to the bonus here, I want you to make sure that you check out that description and sign up for our newsletter, because we send out money saving tips all year long. Now for the bonus. When you are grocery shopping or looking up a new recipe, I will rarely buy an ingredient for a recipe if it's something that I'm only going to use for one certain recipe. So a good example of that is pine nuts. I seem to use those a lot in the wintertime for our stuffing and different recipes in the wintertime, but then I noticed that they were sitting on the shelf all through the summer. So now in the summertime, I will make spinach salad with hot bacon dressing that we have on the blog, and I use the pine nuts on that. So I know that I can use something that I bought for a certain recipe, but be able to use it up throughout the year. Another example of that is feta that I use in the summertime for my watermelon feta salad. I ended up realizing that I really like feta in eggs with spinach and mushrooms, and so that was a good way to use up something that I don't normally buy all year long and be able to use it up. So if this is the very first video that you've ever watched, make sure that you hit subscribe and check out that description for all the links to our blog and other videos.